Oh, I can barely hold all these lenses, and if you would believe it, you can get them for less than $1,000. Not $1,000 each, less than $1,000 for all four. In fact, less than $900, depending on how you do it. So over the last year, they've released and I've reviewed all four of these lenses, but now I want to review them as a lens set. They put out these lenses from 24 all the way to 85 pretty quickly, with a 35 and a 50 in the middle to round things out. They're sharp, fast, have a ton of character, have pretty decent autofocus. And like I said, now that the whole set's out, I didn't think it could get any better, but it did, because during Black Friday, all of these lenses are discounted even further past that price. And I also have a 5% discount link if you use my links down in the description below. And I just went to the checkout here with all the discounts applied, and we're looking at $892.01, which is insane for four f1.8 autofocus lenses. So yeah, feel free to check out my links, like and comment on the video to help spread the word and feed the algorithm. Oh, and if you want more info on these individual lenses, I made a whole playlist with all of my individual reviews right here, so check that out after this video. But anyway, what makes them so great other than the price? Well, partially the build. It's all metal, very nice. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but let's talk about the image first, because it's fun, it's interesting, quirky. There's definitely pros and cons depending on your personal taste, but personally, I dig the look. It's kind of like a mix of a modern and vintage optics, kind of like some of those budget manual focus lenses that you've probably bought a few of over the years. A lot of these lenses in the set have what I think people call like the 3D pop effect, which gives you more depth to your images, prevents that cardboard cutout kind of green screen effect that is not as good for most people. When they're sharp, wide open, they're already very good for the most part, even into the edges of the frame for most lenses. And while the bokeh is a little bit quirky, it's usually pretty nice, and especially very deep considering that f1.8 aperture across the range. They just generally look nice and smooth, and it just looks good to my eye overall. One thing that is very average about these lenses though is their close focus, which is a shame. Most of the Lumix lenses have much better close focus, and some Sigma lenses have pretty good performances as well. This is like as average gets, but at least it's not any worse than average for the most part. You also might have noticed a small color shift in that test. I'd say the 35 is the odd one out here, while the rest look pretty close. Another little hiccup that could be either used creatively by some people, or some people might just hate, is the flare. Personally, I like a little bit of flare. It looks kind of nice, but one issue that is considered a big problem is the glare when edges are towards the edge of the frame. Some lenses, it's more pronounced than others, with the 50 being noticeably worse than the other two, but even on the 50, I don't really mind it. But again, for the price and the fact that these are fully autofocus enabled on all these different camera systems is pretty crazy. I wish stuff was this accessible and good back in the day. Speaking of autofocus, though, it isn't quite the quickest, and I suggest maxing out the speed in your camera for your settings when you're using these lenses. But for me, most of the time, it's pretty much perfect, except for like really, really low light and really, really fast moving stuff like sports or something like that. One benefit is the autofocus transitions are actually incredibly smooth, even if they aren't quite the quickest. Breathing is a little bit all over the place. Some are surprisingly good, others are just okay. But again, check out those individual reviews in that playlist for that sort of stuff. Ooh, but let's talk about the build and handling. These lenses really do feel very quality, nice and weighty, despite that low price. They're all metal. They've got a great autofocus manual focus switch, which is really helpful for something like the S9 or the BF with no dedicated autofocus switch. And they balance well enough on the S9 or the larger S1 II, S1R2 type Pro bodies. And I feel like they're doing a sort of a Lumix Prime thing where they're all similar size and weight, but as you can see even here, they're not quite the same. I mean, they've got a consistent filter thread, they very similar feeling controls, but 50 is a little longer, the 24 is a little bit shorter. It's just a little bit more of a mismatch of size and weight, but at least the filter threads are the same. That's one of the biggest things for me. And the 50 overall is kind of an odd man out. It's got that flare issue we talked about. It's longer and bigger. It lacks a nice custom function button, which is on all the other lenses. So just a little interesting. There's other things too, like the 35mm is the only one that is weather sealed to any degree. It's got a gasket at the back at the very least. I feel like a lot of these lenses could use a version 2, but especially the 50 feels like it could just use a redesign from the ground up to fit with the other lenses, but it still fits in good enough in terms of, whatever. But in general, I just appreciate having the full set. I never really was able to afford all the Lumix glass. And don't get me wrong, they've got some extra focal lengths like an 18 and 100mm macro, but this entire 7Artisans kit for around $11.50 without any discounts and down to under $900 for Black Friday here with my discount as well is pretty amazing. I mean, just consider that the 24 to 85 in the Lumix variety come in at more than double the price, setting you back more closer to 24 to 2500, while looking at 1,000 or under with the holiday sales and my code RTFilm. Don't get me wrong, Lumix have great lenses with some significant advantages over the 7Artisans: close focusing, distances, weather sealing, much more unified bodies, cropless stabilization support, all that kind of stuff. But I really just found that for some people, owning an entire suite of somewhat lesser lenses compared to just one or two of higher end lenses might be great. Like, I was happy with the 35 and 85, but sometimes you just need a 50, or sometimes you just need a 24. And it's nice to have that option of 35 is a little too tight, 24 might be better. 24 is a little too wide. I might pop over to a 50, see what that looks like. And just having those options and those gradations and focal lengths while still having a fast 1.8 aperture. I don't know. It's just nice. And yeah, so that's kind of my overview of these great lenses. Again, great, especially for the price. I'll link a few others they have on sale right now. They've got a really interesting 14mm 2.8, no autofocus, but just in case you need something wide that's not that expensive, they've got a really cool 35 1.4, 75 1.4 manual focus, which are great to have on your S9. I've actually got it right over here. I don't know why, but hey, look at this tiny little 35 1.4. If you don't need autofocus, this is great for these little cameras. But yeah, their whole website basically is on sale right now. So if you want to use my affiliate links and my code, that would be super awesome. Get some money off, take advantage of these holiday sales. If you're already in the market, don't buy anything you don't need. Anyway, guys, cheers. Hope this helps. Happy holidays. And I'll see you when I see you. I just threw up a peace sign. Why'd I do that? All right, cut.